Okay, I'm going to remove the roof that I have here, so I'm deleting it. And because it's gone, I get the message about it really wants to return to the conditions that the curtain wall had before, so can't create curtain wall mullion because the curtain grid it was placed on no longer exists. That is the curtain grid that was placed on the underside of the roof. The roof's been removed, therefore that grid's been removed. So then delete, and it's restored what I wanted to have. I've got just my curtain wall. So let me look from the side of the building. Suppose I switch to the elevation. I can go to, say, the west elevation. Now what I might want to do is I might want to draw the equivalent of a cross section for the roof itself. And I need to know like where I'm drafting in space. So what's useful is the grid lines that were mentioned very early on in explaining how grid lines are used. You see I've got grid line 1, 2. These actually have horizontal, vertical planes that I can draft on. Now what's kind of interesting is that if I use the option to draft on them, so I go Architecture, Set, and you notice that down here I can actually pick which of the grid faces I want to draft on. I'll draft on the vertical plane of a grid if I choose my grid 1. If I don't have a view that lets me see it, Revit will offer me one. So it will say, look, I can see this, I can be if you like, looking straight onto that flat plane that's part of the grid in the east or the west or a particular section view. I'll pick whatever one I want to work in, and it now turns to where that plane is parallel to the view direction. So what I'm going to do is use the different option, which is roof not by footprint but by extrusion, and which level I'm going to attach it to. I'll just choosing the top level. And this just means that if I moved that level 5 up or down, the roof would move with it. So let me draw an outline for the roof itself. Let's say I want it to be say curving like this, and then continuing as a flat segment all the way back to here. I've got really like my outline of the cross section of the roof, and when I say OK, what it does is it makes the roof, and it's now this generic 12-inch roof on the top here. So if I look at it in 3D, or let me look at it in another elevation, like the south elevation, I've got my, it's a little hard to see, let me try the north elevation, see if it's a bit clearer. Not much. There's my actual roof. If I look at the properties of the roof, it began at 0, meaning that it began on the face of the grid, and it extends -77 in this direction. So if I were to say, I could either use the handles here to adjust the size, pulling them off here, or I could go in and specify values. Suppose I say I want it to be 4 feet from that grid, and I want the far end of it to be minus, I'll say 80, maybe 81. Okay, so I've chosen to adjust where the beginning and end of that roof is. Let me look at it in 3D. And so just to kind of finish it off, what I'm saying is that I want to select these walls, tab key, select, attach the top or the base. So on my options here, it shows me top is selected. And what I can do is I'm going to select the top to that roof. And now it's going to clean up the curtain walls and attach them to the underside of the roof. You get that rather annoying message, error cannot be continued, it cannot be ignored. But all it's really saying is there's a new mullion being created on the underside of the roof, and that what you want to do is you're deleting the old mullions that initially were above the roof. And there it does it. There's our new mullions. Okay, so 2 ways to create the roof: by footprint and by extrusion.